All right, hey class, what's up? What's going on? So today we're going to be talking about 7-4, which is evaluating functions. So this is pretty simple. You already know how to do this. I talked about it briefly last video, or one of the previous videos, where we started talking about evaluating for the range when we're given a function. This is the same exact idea. We're just going to be evaluating functions the whole time. Okay, so f of x is a function of x. Okay, that's what it stands for. So when we have an input and an output, our x value is going to be our input or our domain. Okay, and our f of x is going to be our output. Okay, or our range. Okay, let's use that. Let's use those to figure out what we're going to do. So to find a value such as f of 5, we input 5 into the function for x using the substitution property. Using the substitution property. I'm going to write up here plug and chug. Okay, because we're going to plug in the value and then we're going to chug through to get to the final solution. You may have heard this in chemistry class before, but we will use it here instead. So f of x is x squared plus 2x minus 5, and we have g of x equals 1/2 x plus 6. So how do you know which function to use? Well, it's the little letter that's out front. This one's the f of 4, so we're going to use the f of x function. So f of 4, all we're going to write is f of 4 equals, anytime we have an x, we're going to plug in a 4 now. 4 squared plus 2 times 4, okay, minus 5, and we're just going to evaluate. So we got 16 plus 8 minus 5. So we got 16 plus 8, that is 24. 24 minus 5 is going to be 19. So we got 19 as our solution. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Just plugging in a number, we're evaluating for that number, and we're getting a final solution as an outcome. Now, one thing I want to point out, just like this f of -5, when we do this, make sure you use parentheses. I know I didn't put it in the first one, but use parentheses, because when we have negative numbers and we square negative numbers, we have to get a positive. And if you don't use those parentheses and use a calculator, it's going to come out sort of messed up. So let's go ahead and talk about a g of something function, and we'll evaluate it, and then I'll have you do the rest for some practice. So number 4, we have g of 4. So g of 4 is going to be equal to 1/2 times 4 plus 6. We're going to evaluate, so 1/2 of 4 is 2 plus 6. And that's equal to 8. So g of 4 is equal to 8 as a final solution. Okay, pause the video and check out the rest of the problems on this page, and then we'll move on to what are known as composite functions, which are even more fun. Right. Okay, do these problems, pause the video if you need to. Okay, so here are the answers to the rest of the problems. We have f of -5 equals 10, f of 0 equals -5, g of 10 equals 11, and g of -12 equals 0. One thing, again, I want to point out is make sure that you have the negative inside these parentheses. Because when we square this, we get a 25, not a -25, but a 25 plus -10, okay, minus 5. So we're going to subtract off that 15. We get that 10 as a final value. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk about composite functions here, and disregard the 5-2. This is just continuation of your section 4 notes. And you can just flip the page, and this is what we're going to do. So composite functions. Composite, I'm just going to tell you, is going to be a combination. Okay, a composite function is combining more than one function. Okay, so it's going to sort of be like a chain reaction. So we solve one problem to get the answer that we're going to use to solve for the next problem. Okay, I'll show you what that means. So here are some examples. We're going to use these 3 functions, but we're going to start combining them and mixing and matching them. Okay, so we have f of g of 2. So work inside out. work inside out. So always start with the innermost function first, and then you start evaluating for the outermost functions. So f of g of 2, I'm going to focus on this g of 2 first. Okay, g of 2 is equal to 4 times 2 minus 5. So 4 times 2 is 8, minus 5 is 3. So we have g of 2 is equal to 3. Okay, so since we know that g of 2 is equal to 3, now anytime I see a g of 2, which is this whole thing inside here, I'm just going to erase it for right now, I know that this whole thing is equal to a 3. So now we're going to take f of 3, and we're going to plug it in. So f of 3 is negative 5 times 3, which is equal to negative 15. Okay, so the whole function, the composite function, is going to be f of g of 2 equals negative 15, and that's our final answer right there. Okay, so again, we're taking one function, solving it to get to the next function, solving it again to get to the answer. So we're working inside out. Cool. Okay, I'm going to skip down to a slightly tougher problem, then I'm going to have you go back through, solve these, and then I'll show you the answers at the tail end. Okay, let's jump down and talk about how do we do something like this problem. So this h of f of x. So now we're going to be evaluating in terms of x. So h of f of x. So we're going to be using this formula and this formula. Oh, and also, sorry, I forget this. Inside and work outward. So work inside out. Good. Okay, so f of x. So f of x is negative 5. So instead of plugging in f of x, we're going to now evaluate for h of negative 5x, because that's what f of x is equal to, right? Good. Okay, so now we're going to take the h of x function and plug in negative 5x. So h of negative 5x, anytime we see an x, we're going to plug in a negative 5x to it. So we have negative 5x squared, okay, and then we have a plus 3 times negative 5x. Okay, again, I'm taking what my value for f of x was, which was negative 5x, and throwing it into this problem. So I'm left with h of negative 5x is equal to 25x squared minus 15x. And that's my solution. So you're evaluating in terms of x. These problems are a little bit difficult. Try your best on these, and I will reveal the answers here in about 20 seconds or so. So please pause the video, and we'll resume with the answers. Sorry, gotta have my coffee. Okay, so here you go. Here are the answers. You can go ahead and check your work. And if you have any questions, just let me know. All right, this has been Mr. Korb. Peace out, and I will see you next time.